This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to build your perfect website. Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about 5 compositional tricks that I've been working on recently, and I hope that they might help you improve your photography too. Plus, I'm going to be heading out later to capture the moonrise at one of my all-time favourite spots. So please stay tuned for that. In last week's video, I was shooting some subjects that were quite, different from what I usually gravitate towards. And I wanted to share a few things that I learned from that experience. And honestly, I think there's a lot to gain from, stepping outside of your comfort zone in photography. And I definitely encourage anyone to give it a try. I think there's so much value in experimenting with something new and then reflecting on what worked and perhaps what didn't work. So before we dive into the first point, I just wanted to mention that, composition is such a personal thing, isn't it? There's really no right or wrong, and I absolutely love studying the work of other photographers. And I think, in my opinion, aside from actually taking the photos, it's probably one of the best ways to improve your own work. Lately, I've been exploring the portfolios of William Eggleston and Stephen Shaw, and I think both are incredibly intriguing. Their styles are so different, but I'm drawn to each in unique ways, which I think is what makes composition so exciting for me. I actually enjoyed trying to get inside of the photographer's mind and trying to understand how they chose to compose a shot in a certain way. Anyway, let's move on to the first point and take a look at one of the areas that I explored in last week's video. So the first point I want to talk about is working the scene, and I think it's really important. And as you can see from these images, I spent some time trying to figure out the best angles for the current conditions. And I think many filmmakers use a wide, medium and tight approach, and I try to explore this myself as well. Tight compositions can add intrigue when viewed on their own, but they also work well as part of a collection. So my takeaway here is to, give yourself enough time to fully explore the area. I actually spent about an hour at this location testing different possibilities. Not all of them worked, but I feel I got as much out of that scene as I could, and I think that's what's really important to me. Now, I mentioned William Eggleston earlier, who was a pioneer of colour film photography, and his approach was quite opposite to mine. He once said, "I only ever take one picture of one thing, literally, never two. So then that picture is taken and then the next one is waiting somewhere else." Well, I think it's a beautiful quote, and it's a reminder that I think everyone's approach is going to be unique. So I'm sticking with a car shot for this point because it ties into my previous one about working a scene. So obviously light plays such a crucial role in how the scene is captured, doesn't it? For example, while this composition is similar to the previous one, the lighting is quite different, isn't it? And personally, I prefer the splash of light on the front of the bonnet. I think the flat light in the other image makes it feel, kind of flat and maybe just a bit on the boring side. So quite often after a shoot, I ask myself how I would have lit the scene if I could actually control that light myself. And I think this is a really good exercise. For this shot, I would have liked that light to fully hit the front of the building and cover the car's bonnet and windscreen. Maybe slightly diffused as well, so there's not too much glare on the windscreen itself, and also while avoiding harsh shadows. So I might even revisit this scene later on in the afternoon and see maybe how it looks under different light. It might be one for a future visit. But yeah, I think it's such a great exercise, just experimenting with different scenarios in your mind's eye, if you like, after the fact. The next point I want to talk about is incorporating a story into a composition. And I find this especially challenging with traditional landscape photography. For me, it's often easier when there's a man-made element involved. So take this image I shot later that day. It's a simple scene, but there's still a lot to explore, and it raises, I think, more questions than it has answers. And that's something I believe can give every image real staying power. Now, one thing I didn't notice until I got home and reviewed this photo later on was how all the lower branches of the pine tree have been sawn off to create that open space. The icebox suggests that the area might have been used for some kind of refuge, but I guess the truth is I'll never really know, and I find that mystery really intriguing. So looking for a narrative is something I really want to try to include more of in my work going forward. Now, as you know, this video is kindly sponsored by Squarespace. Now, building a Squarespace website is incredibly easy because they offer a wide selection of different templates that can get you up and running really quickly. And they even have AI design technology to help you create more unique and personalized websites. Now, one of the things I love most is how simple it is to add photos to a gallery. You just upload your images, rearrange them if needed, and it's all done in a couple of clicks. Plus, every Squarespace site is optimized for search engines with built-in meta descriptions, a sitemap, and much more. So you can ensure your site gets as much visibility as possible. So be sure to check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/IanWorth to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So spontaneity is another great way to bring an image to life, and I think this is something you see a lot of in Eggleston's work. So if you take a closer look at his photos, many of them feel almost rushed. Even his more static compositions, which you'd think maybe he would have more time to carefully set up, often look like he just kind of walked up, pressed the shutter and then moved on. But I think it's that spontaneity that I find really intriguing. Now, I think one of the reasons I actually enjoy shooting seascapes so much is because often it's about capturing those fleeting moments. You know, the movement of the waves can really make or break a shot. And I guess when I manage to harness that in the final image, I usually walk away feeling quite satisfied. I think there's a sense of what you captured, you know, can't really be repeated. And I think that's incredibly rewarding. So one of the big takeaways from shooting these interesting subjects last week was that I might have become, say, a little bit too kind of narrow-minded in my approach. So for the past 7 years or so, I've mostly concentrated on nature photography, sometimes going out of my way not to include man-made objects within the scene. And I think recently I've realised I need to be more open-minded and probably appreciate things for what they are a bit more. So my point number 5 is really about keeping an open mind. Consider everything, and it might even lead you to new opportunities and discoveries that you hadn't considered before. Anyway, I'm hoping for clear skies this evening because there's a supermoon tonight and the moonrise coincides with sunset as well, and I've chosen a location that I think will align perfectly and allow me to shoot with a long focal length to capture the moon's features and also an interesting rock formation. So please do join me at the coast for what hopefully is going to be a fantastic shoot if everything comes together. Welcome to the coast. I am super excited about this evening. I'm really hoping everything goes to plan. Just get through this gate. So yeah, the plan is to shoot the moonrise over Church Rock, which lies on the southwest tip of Pembrokeshire. So yeah, fantastic location. I have seen a few different shots of the moonrise down here. I'm hoping I'll be able to capture something unique tonight. Now we do have quite a high tide, around about 8 meters. So I think I'm going to be a little bit restricted to where I can position myself. So actually getting the moon where I want it might be a little bit tricky, but not too much further. And yeah, we'll take a look, see what we're up against. We've got about 20 minutes until the moonrise and the sunset, which is about the same time. So yeah, super moon tonight, nice and big. And I think actually in the early hours, we've actually got a partial eclipse as well, but it's only about 4%. I don't think I'll stick around for that. But yeah, super excited to see what we can capture this evening. So that is Church Rock just there, and I think we're going to be heading down to the beach down here. I can see there's already somebody set up down there. I did think there might be a few people down here. It's quite a popular location. But anyway, let's get down there. I'm going to be shooting with the Fuji X-H2 this evening and the 70-300 lens. So my idea is, because there's quite a distance between where I'll be positioned and the rock itself, I'll be able to zoom in quite a lot, and then that'll give me a nice big perspective of the moon, because obviously I'll be zoomed in on that as well. So that is the plan. Let's hope it all comes together. So everything's set up, we're just waiting now. I'm talking quietly because there's a few people behind me, I don't want to disturb them. It's always nice to let everybody else enjoy the moment as well, isn't it? Without listening to me rambling on about photography. But anyway, yeah, we're bang on sort of time right now, so we're just waiting. And there does seem to be quite a lot of haze or atmosphere on the horizon, so whether that's going to hinder our chances of capturing something, you know, during the early part of the moonrise, I don't know. But we shall see. Currently, I've got everything set up at f9. I'm a fifth of a second, ISO 125. But that'll probably change. I might end up doing a focus stack as well, focus on the rock and then on the moon as it comes up. So what an absolutely tranquil, stunning moonrise that was. I thoroughly enjoyed myself down there. Now, the shoot didn't quite go to plan. In the end, I just couldn't get an angle on the beach of Church Rock and the moon together. The distance between the two was just too great. So either my calculations or the apps that I was using were wrong, probably my own fault. But yeah, just couldn't quite get them to line up. So in the end, I shot a different composition down on the beach, which I thought was pretty average, to be honest. So that I kind of abandoned that and then went up onto the cliff top and shot a couple of shots up there. One I think might have worked out. Anyway, I'll put the images up for you to take a look at. Let me know what you think. But yeah, here's the images anyway. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more weekly content. The link in the top right will take you to another video that I'm sure you'll enjoy, and the link in the left corner will take you to my ebook on landscape photography composition. Anyway, take care, and I hope to see you again next week.